Welcome to today's show. I'm Cody Sublett, your host. Today, we're going to make a really simple headboard. We have some friends here in town. They've just moved home. They were missionaries in the Czech Republic. They spent a little bit of time. They've been trying to upgrade their home a little bit as they can, and we thought this would be a really nice gift for them, something to help beautify their bedroom and help them feel a little bit more at home.
With moving back to the U.S., we had to sell all of our furniture, and as we came into this house, we needed to find a way to put in new furniture. And that's been a process of its own, trying to figure out what to buy and how to put things into place. And so one of the things we were most looking forward to was having a headboard for our master bedroom that could really set the scene in that room.
We're going to stick with our same theme as always of using minimal tools, so let's make that happen. All right, all we're doing here, we're marking these boards to 70 inches. And they're just two 2x4s that are going to be the legs. This is one of the easier things that we'll do today. All right, we got our 270s marked there. All right, now we're going to move on to the long boards that are actually going to make the backboard. Okay. So we got these cut, they match. Set these fellas out the way there. All right, now what this is going to take is these are 70 inches long. We want to have enough space from the bottom of the legs to go up to the top so that you can't see the headboard below the top of the mattress. You want to see it below the top of the mattress. So what we're going to do now is we've got our measurements marked over here. It's going to be 77 inches wide. All right, so there's our mark for that one. Get that joker out of the way. So all these are marked at 77 inches. These are 11¼ inches wide, so with our sliding saw here, we're able to make them in one cut. Okay, so now we've got our basic back done for the headboard. What we're going to do now is we're going to take these boards and fix them to those 2x4s. All right, this next part's really easy. All we're going to use is an 18-gauge brad nailer with 1.5-inch nails and a little bit of glue. That's all it takes to get this initial part down. All right, it's time to install our main base backboards to our legs. So what we're going to do with that is I'm going to take just a second and show you. This is construction grade lumber. So you'll notice one side will have a fur and the other side will be smooth. It's okay, these are DIY projects. It's just for you in your home, you're not trying to sell it. So we're going to take and use the smooth side and spread out to approximately as wide as we need here on our table. We're going to bring Nick in, have him bring us one of those boards. All right, now all these come into a 90 naturally because they're straight. So you're going to want to make sure that your top matches up here. Nick, match that side up over there. Are we good? Okay. Now we're going to take this and stand it up for just a moment. We're going to shoot a little bit of glue under there. Brad nails are great, but they're not the most efficient for long-term use. So what we're going to do, put a little bit of glue down under there because the glue is actually stronger than the nails. So Nick, make sure you get that lined up real good, buddy. Put your 90s there. All right, my side is now flush. I'm going to take my brad nails. There we go there. 8 more of these. All right. A lot of times people want to worry about, well, why are you just shooting so many holes in here? Well, the reason we're just shooting them this way is because we're going to make a border that goes on this in the next step. So we're going to repeat this same process that we just did 3 more times. Okay. And remember I told you I'm going to show you how to correct this here in the middle. All those are sticking out just a little bit. That's not that big a deal. What we've got to do is we're going to flip this over, push them flat against the table, and use another board to correct that wiggle that we have there. So Nick, go ahead and come over here, please, again, sir. Take it with me here, stand it straight up. Bring it back over and lay it straight down. All right. A little bit further explanation here, keeping with our theme of not using a lot of tools. A lot of times when you're doing something like this, you're going to want to use something like a Craig jig or maybe a biscuit joiner like we did in another episode in order to put these boards together, okay? Since they're not going to be outside, since it's not going to get a whole lot of touch back and forth, another thing you can do is, what we're going to do is get one of the end cuts for these 1x12s, the other end cut, and we're going to take it, put it across here and mash it down until they're as flush as they can get, and then we're going to use a little bit shorter nail and nail that in together. All right, and what you see here is we did correct this just a little bit. There's still a little bit of bow in it, but it's all going to hold together with that support piece in the back. You'll also see that we went ahead and changed to the shorter nails so that those nails that are holding on our support piece didn't come all the way through and give us something else to fix. So now what we're going to do, we're going to move over to the table saw and we're going to cut enough 4-inch strips to cover this frame part right here. We're just going to use the whole length of the board to begin with, run them down to 4 inches, and one board actually, should give us what we need for top, bottom, and sides in order to frame this out. These boards started out just like these, and what you call a 1x12, which is actually 3/4 inches thick and 11 1/4 inches wide. It's a dimensional lumber that they came up with. I guess since it's more than 11 inches, they decided they could go ahead and call it 12. I don't know. What we did though, we took and cut them down to 4-inch strips on the table saw, and we're going to use them now to make a decorative border for this headboard. What we've done now is we've come in here and you can take a look at these. These are what you get when you get them straight from the store. These ends are a little bit janky, they're not straight, and so when we make these fine measurements like what we're doing for this border, when you want to come over and you want to just chop that off, okay? That way you can't see all that and you get a straighter thing to measure from. Now what we're doing with this part, get those out of the way there, we're going to measure these across. Now these top boards right now are 77 inches long. But what we want to do on the next part is we're going to put another border on this side that sits just like this so that we can hide that 2x4. So what I have to take into consideration is, like we talked about, these are 3/4 inch thick. And so what we'll do, we know this is 77, 2 3/4 is 1.5 inches. So we're going to measure these, 2 of these boards here to 78.5 inches and make our cuts. One more time with this. A lot of people like to, trying to save a step and put both boards right next to each other. and then make one big straight line across them. The danger there is that they could get bumped and get offline. It's much, much better and much more efficient to just go ahead and mark them individually. So we got this one right there, 78.5. There we go. Now don't worry about this third board right now. We're going to get to him in just a few minutes. We got to get this other part taken care of first. Okay, I'll bring these and set them back down. We talked about our cheater blocks in another episode. We're going to use those again today. What's been done here is I've just taken some scrap that we had and set it up where this block is 3/4 of an inch from a block behind it, and this block on this side is 1/2 an inch from a block behind it. So we've already talked about those boards are 3/4 of an inch wide. So we're going to use our cheat block. Now run that to the edge. Check that side. And check that side. Sometimes they push a little further than they're supposed to. There we go. All right. So that is set just where we want it. We're going to prop it up just a little tiny bit. Get our glue. Lay it back down there. You want to make sure that it stays flush all the way around the bottom. Air compressor's out there, just still wants to let you know he's there. He feels left out sometimes too. All right, now we're going to come back to the other side of the table and get our front. Okay, now we got our top and bottom done. What we got to do is get our tape measure back out so we can cut this other board to the size that we need it. And what we want for it to do is this other piece is going to come just exactly right here in between the two of these. So what you want to do is, I got Nick there. Nick, hold your finger and give me a little bit of positive tension against that little black part. There we go. That's going to drag that out. Just let it stay there. And then you can come in and look. Our measurement, 36 5/8. So remember folks, just like I was talking about getting a haircut, you can always take more off, but you can't put more back on. So you want to make sure that you measure right the first time. Measure twice and cut once. So we got 36 5/8 of an inch. We'll just zap these real quick on the table saw. Just like that. And again, you want to make sure that you're bringing this out to match this edge, because all of this side border is going to cover the other side border. So we'll look here at that, and we can see that that is just perfect. And how about that? One time go. Always like that. So again, we're going to come through here. This piece is going into a little bit longer, so if you need to use a little bit longer nail because that's what you have, that's okay, because it's going to go all the way down into the 2x4. We're going to keep using these 1-inchers just because they're already loaded. We'll get back to the 1.5 in a minute. A little bit of glue there. So what we were talking about earlier is these top boards are hanging over enough that they're going to cover up another piece of this one bow on the side. Okay, there's going to be just a little bit of a lip around it to kind of give it that frame look. But what we're going to do now is we're going to measure this, and we're going to cut a piece that comes all the way down to here. But then we've got to measure this and do the same thing on the side with the slightly thinner piece. These are going to be two different lengths, or depths rather. And what we're doing that for is for whenever we finally affix this to the bed, there's no gaps and it doesn't wobble too bad. Let it sit flush. You can see it does pass that 2x4 just a little bit. and that's okay. Because this dude's main function in life is to hide that. So if it sticks out a little bit further behind it, that doesn't hurt anything at all. We're going to come down here and make a little bitty mark right at the edge of that. Cut this one to length. There he'll sit. Now we're going to come back on this side, do the same thing again. Flush there. I'm gonna make us a little bitty mark down here. We'll go to the other side, repeat this process. Okay, now the very last thing we're going to do before we get to sanding and staining is we're going to put a header board across the top of this. You can call them mostly whatever you want. All it really is a cap that's going to go across just to give this a little bit more finished look. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get my measurement from the table to the top, get our length, and then add to my width for the front. I'm going to add 1 inch, so it'll stick over a whole inch from the front. And we're also going to leave it where it'll hang over about 3/4 of an inch on each side. Okay, so for illustration purposes, go ahead and let's stand that up and we'll see. We've achieved our goal of getting that where it's going to stick out 1 inch past. Good job on that. We got that one that way. So we cut them a little bit shorter than we wanted to, so we're going to bring these to 1/2 inch. Okay, so those are good, those are even. Now what we've got to do, Nick, go to the other side. We're going to draw this all the way out to us on this side. We're coming over here. We're going to set it to that edge and that edge. We're going to take a little bit of glue, put it right here on this edge. This isn't going to, shouldn't rather ever gather a whole lot of weight on it. Nobody should be pulling on it. You never know, people have kids. These guys have some pretty good kids. Okay, get your cheater there. It's good on that side, it'll be good on this side. What we're going to address now is that we're going to do the exact same thing as we did up here. We're just going to do it on these legs. So we need 2 pieces that are 24 7/8 that are going to go right here, and they're going to hang over the sides. So with our dimensional lumber, we know this is 3 1/2, and we want it to come out to there. So we're going to have to tear these down, or we'll rip these rather, to 4 1/2. So they'll come all the way out across and match that. And that should make them match up pretty good up here on the top, so you won't be able to see a whole bunch of disconnect. But these are going to be behind the bed, below the mattress, so they're not really going to be seen that much anyway. So I've already cut off the bad edges here. So what we're going to do, we're going to set these up, make sure it's as wide as we want it, that it's sitting flush. Let's try both sides. There we go, perfect. So that's in there, that's sitting flush. We're gonna drag it over there. Perfect. I'm gonna come underneath here and scribe out for our cut. Remember where you made your scribe side, go ahead and make sure you put that back down to the bottom. So here we go, we got those out, that's good to go. Over here again, clean up a little bit. We'll sand it later, that'll be okay. That's a mill side that was already left over. Do the same thing over here. And there we go, easy peasy. All that's sitting just flush on there. Everything looks good. What we gotta do now is we've got the headboard off the truck, we've got it inside, we've got it in place, we've got the bed frame in place. What we need to do is, since we're gonna use lag screws to hold the frame to the headboard, what we've gotta do is make some pilot holes for those so they'll go in a little bit easier and it won't split the wood. So we've got our drill bit and we've got these all lined up. What we wanna do is there's that bumper already there. It's going to be there. We can't control where it is. They're already stuck. We don't want to take them off and tear them up. So we're going to make one hole here. If we can get it in there, we'll make it. There we go. One more hole here. Okay. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Okay. Now we're ready to put in our lag bolts, and for that we're going to use a 1/2 inch socket. Got these this morning back from our good friends at Ace Hardware. Now each one of these is going to have just a regular small fender washer, and then we've got the head there. This goes on. All we've got to do is have everything lined up. Make sure we got this dude ready to stand the right way.
It's beautiful.
Looks amazing.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
it's beautiful. It's exactly what I had in mind.
All right, guys, so what we did for this, for y'all's benefit, is all of this is 3/4 inch pine. There's a board that runs across the back that we encased over here with that. You can see when we sanded, we didn't take out all the mill marks because you said you wanted to be more rustic, so we did that. And we had a little couple spots up here. You'll see when later on that there was some glue spots that got on when we put things over. So when we sanded those, we used a really rough sandpaper. We used a 60 grit sandpaper, and we did all that. And when we decided while we were staining, instead of going back over it with something softer, just leave them there to kind of give it more of that rustic feel. Sure. So we've got it in here. Everything is all secured to your metal frame underneath. There's some lashers holding it in there. All right, Sarah, you and I have talked about this for a long time. You sent me a lot of pictures and we talked about different colors.
Mm-hmm.
How does this meet your expectations?
It's better than I could have imagined because I sent you like 5 different pictures and I couldn't really decide on the perfect one, but I just trusted you and it is perfect. It's exactly what I was thinking of, and the color, the stain you chose is perfect. It's just what I wanted.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Sarah. This was a real simple project that we were able to do. Miss Sarah had sent us a few, I think 5 different pictures that she had ideas that she liked. So we just went and got the best amalgamation of them that we could. What you saw in the shop was everything went real simple. Not every project goes that simple, but fortunately enough, this one did. You know, we had a little bit of glue runoff and migration. That happens, and glue's it's got its own mind. But it also helped us with our overall look, because where that was, we were able to leave a little bit of rough marks, make it look more kind of like a rustic mill. You know, if we had used an oak or even a thin ash to do this, there would have been more actual mill marks on there that were rougher. And so since we use this smooth pine, it's nice to be able to do things like that and go back in and leave a little bit of extra stuff there that, you know, that newer wood isn't going to have. Thanks for watching. We hope you tune in again next week. This is Nailed It, and I'm Cody Sublett.